Hey, welcome back to the Wolves Only podcast powered by JWFIT. I'm Justin Wenzel, and I'm stoked right now. I don't really know why I'm so stoked, but I'm really stoked because we have Dane on, and I spend every day with you, and it's always fun to like get into it with you. But there's a lot of people that don't know you, or they see you on social media, but they don't know the whole story. So before we get into it, what's up, Jake? How are you?
What's up, Justin? What up, Dane?
What's up, Jake? Yeah, this is cool, man. This is cool.
Jake nice. Has become like the permanent. Well, I don't know. I don't want to ever say permanent, but he's like become like the permanent co-host.
Yeah, co-host,
I'm not going nowhere. My seat's comfortable, dog. My seat's comfortable.
But it's really good because I love having you on here, obviously because your story with us and you're coming up in JWFIT, but
Sure.
The care that you put into things and it's so awesome because like for me when we decided to do the Wolves Only podcast, like I was like, it's got to be perfect, or we're not even going to do it. And guess what? It's not perfect whatsoever. we're fucking figuring it out. That's for sure, guys. And so far we've had a lot of fun doing this, and I'm stoked to. I'm definitely stoked to just keep putting out stuff and just continuing to bring value. Dane.
Yeah.
For those of whoever doesn't know that's listening to this, Dane is our vice president. And Dane is also a really great online fitness coach, very successful at it, was a beast before even, linking up with me and my guys and Scotty. But Dane, your story is really what has sold you, is really what has taken you to the next level. And we always talk about stories sell, but I think, your story is super profound. I've heard your story 1,000 times and it never gets old. There's times where I still catch myself tearing up and I'm like, I heard this story 15 minutes ago or an hour ago or whatever. And it's like, it still always gets me. So, I want to go into as much detail as you want. But I really want to hear about Dane 1.0. And I want to hear about before sobriety, before online fitness coaching, before taking the leap that you took. Because I know for you, this getting involved in the online coaching space was a massive risk that you had taken. So let's get into it, man. So I want to know, actually, what I really want to know is about high school Dane. What was high school Dane like?
High school Dane. Oh, man. Yeah, that's a good one, bro. As you guys know, I mean, I grew up right here in Southern California, Orange County. High school, though, I went to Esperanza High School, class of 2009. And I was an athlete, football. You guys know I was football was my game. That was my passion. I was like all I did. Freshman year, dude, I was a little skinny, blonde, beach blonde hair. I mean, banging ass blonde hair past my shoulders. I grew up coming down here. Oh yeah, banging hair. We all the guys.
Freshman year,
8th grade.
That was like acceptable on the West Coast. In Michigan, you would have been like, "Hey, it's Hanson." That's what everyone would have said to people that had long hair.
I had sunshine. Yeah, all the guys. Like I look at old pictures of our entire friend group. Everyone had long hair. There was not one buzz cut. That was just like the thing. And it was beach blonde because I was down here in Newport and Huntington Beach surfing every day. So I grew up coming down here. My parents actually met in Huntington Beach. They divorced, and my dad was down in Newport. Mom was Yorba Belinda years later. But anyways, Esperanza High School, man. So yeah, a little scrawny, little blonde kid going into freshman football. And but I was good, dude. I was a good football player. And we kicked ass freshman year. Blake, my older brother, he was a sophomore. He was a year older than me, and he was also, he wasn't the best when he was young because he was small. He didn't hit his growth spurt. He didn't start filling out until probably junior year. But anyways, I was a little pothead. I was such a stoner, dude. I remember I started smoking pot. The first time I smoked pot, I was in 5th grade. I was with my brother and a couple of his older friends, and we were smoking joints, and that was the first time I got stoned. But I really started smoking weed consistently freshman year. And it was funny because I lost a bunch of friends. You know, a lot of my friends, you know, when they found out, I remember my buddy John Payne, he called me like well into freshman year, it was like halfway through, and he called me one day and he's like, dude, is this true? Like, I heard you smoke pot, and like just freaking out on the phone, like freaking out. And I'm like,
Where's
yeah,
John
dude.
Dane at now?
Yeah.
You know what? I'd
I
rather
always
not.
wonder, the reason I say that is because I always wonder about that shit because, you know, I've had friends that were like, you know, yo, bro, like, don't do drugs. Like, you know, or they were like, well, what are you doing? Or they'd stop hanging out with me because I was like the party animal. Fast
and then they
forward.
go on to be like,
fast forward.
And that's exactly what happened, right? That's exactly what happened with that individual. He's actually doing good today. But it's funny because you're right. A lot of those guys who kind of tripped out on me and they're like, you're a loser, you're smoking pot. Like, fast forward to senior year and they're the ones slamming heroin and you know what I mean? I'm
Oh,
still
shit.
smoking pot and drinking beers and, you know, going about my life. But yeah, so a little pothead, playing football. And then I started selling pot, you know, and I was good at it because I knew everyone. And there was like 4,700 kids in my school. It was like a small college. There's 2 campuses. You'd meet a new girl every day, dude. It was awesome. And sold pot, you know, and did that freshman, sophomore, junior year. This week right now, the week right before Christmas break, dude, I'm getting ready to leave for school. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning. I get dressed. I'm hopping in my truck in my driveway, and my next door neighbor who just moved in, some kid from like Idaho or some shit. And he was like total stoner. And he's like, hey man, can I get a ride with you so I don't have to take the bus? And I'm looking at him and I'm like, and he goes, dude, I got my bong in here. And I'm like, fucking hop in, let's go. So he hops in my car and we're just ripping bong tokes. And like my Esperanza was like 15 minutes from my house, from my parents' house. We lived on the other side of town. So we probably smoked at least 2 grams of some like crazy indica. And we are lit, absolutely lit. It's like, I don't know, 6:30 in the morning. Pull up to school. One of my best friends, Mike Brewer, texts me. And he's like, bro, let's smoke. And I'm like, let's do it. This kid hops out. Mike Brewer hops in. And we do this every morning. We do like this big circle around the high school where I just drive and Mike rolls up 2 or 3 blunts and we smoke the blunts. And then we go to zero period. So Mike hops in. Smoke 2 blunts, and by this point, I am higher than the fucking moon. I'm on cloud 9. I am like, got the giggles. Eyes are bleeding, redder than the devil's dick. I was driving a little white Ford Ranger, and it is completely boxed. So we completely, you know, we reeked. And we did this every morning. And so, like, we stopped at the donut shop, got some donuts and chocolate milk. And then we're sitting at the table and Mike's like, oh shit, we're late. We're like 15 minutes late. So we hop in my truck, haul ass to school, get in the big parking lot, park, and like we go our separate ways. Well, I'm sitting in zero period. And again, I am lit. Mr. Bowman, I hated that guy. He was like geometry or some shit. He hated me. He was the coach of the water polo team. Football, water polo, like no. So I'm sitting there. And the campus security guard comes storming in. He was probably like 6'6", like 300 and something pounds, like big old fat guy. And he walks in, he walks to in front of the class, and he looks at Mr. Bowman, and Mr. Bowman looks at him. He goes, "Where's Dane Poole?" And like you should have seen Mr. Bowman's face. His face lit up, and he goes, "Right there!" He couldn't wait. He couldn't wait to get me busted. Gotcha. And so the guy looks at me and he's like, "Come with me." And so I get up and he goes, and bring your backpack. And I'm like, oh shit, I'm fine.
Oh shit.
So we hop in his golf cart outside, and instead of turn right to go to the offices, we turn left to go to the parking lot. And then I knew I was fucked. And so we turn right to the parking lot, and there's like 3 cop cars around my truck, and the principal and a couple counselors. And I'm like, yep, here we go. So they're inside my truck and searching it. And right away, the cop puts me in handcuffs. And they're like, where's everything else? We're going to rip this whole truck apart. I had a little bit of pot in that bong. The kid left his bong in my truck instead of taking it with him. I had no idea it was sitting in my back seat. And so I'm like, oh, shit. And I was like, I don't know. And they're like, oh, you want to play tough guy? You're going to jail. And I'm like, cool, let's do it. And so they take me in the office, and I'm sitting in a Mr. Marshall's office. He hated me. He was the wrestling head coach. Wrestling and football did not mix. We hated each other, like enemies. And he just had it out for me and my brother Blake. In fact, he suspended Blake. He expelled him freshman year, got him arrested. All this stuff. So I'm sitting in Mr. Marshall's office, and the guy has the bong. Fill it up with dirty bong water. It reeks, and he's like looking at it. He does this thing. He smells it. And he goes like that. And I'm like, what is this idiot doing? And Keno, the cop, is sitting behind me. And Mr. Marshall grabs his little office trash can, with like the plastic liner, and he pours out the bong water in his office. And I start cracking up because I know what's going to happen. Immediately, the whole office just reeks like bong water, like disgusting bong water. And long story short, take me to Anaheim jail. I'm there for a couple hours. My dad shows up first, and he was so mad at me, he had to leave. And like a couple hours later, my mom comes in and bails me out. And she's like, your dad couldn't even be in the same car as you. He would have killed you, But don't worry, he's waiting for you at home. And so long story short, I get expelled. Have to go to El Dorado, the school next to us in another district for the rest of the year. And I finished out junior year at El Dorado, made some awesome, great friends at El Dorado, and it was the best year of my life. I thought my life was over. I was like, what a loser. I'm a piece of shit. I got arrested. I got expelled. I'm not going to be able to finish football at Esperanza, da-da-da-da-da. And that wasn't the case. I was a new guy on campus. I was like a clean slate. None of the girls knew my history. None of the guys knew my history. I knew a couple guys, Billy Henley and Kevin O'Connell, both great football players. We went on to play in college together. But they introduced me to the whole football team. I started working out with them, practicing with them. And, El Dorado and Esperanza, we didn't get along. We'd always fight at parties and stuff like that. Well, senior year, when I went back to Esperanza, I brought that whole crowd of El Dorado guys and girls and introduced them to my friend at Esperanza, the guys who go to Esperanza. And it became one big friend group. And senior year was like the most epic year ever. It was so fun. Got back in Esperanza senior year, was captain of the football team. We won Sunset League. We balled the fuck out. It was a lot of fun. And all the colleges that were looking at me for scholarships dropped their offers because I was arrested and expelled. So I ended up going to Santa Ana Junior College where I got my AA. A lot of those guys from El Dorado and the other schools that we were friends with, a couple guys from Esperanza, my brother Blake, we all went to Santa Ana Junior College. Great team, crushed it for the next 2 years. Ended up getting a full ride scholarship up to Humboldt County, and did really well up in Humboldt. And then you guys know the story. I kept getting hurt up in Humboldt, way too many concussions, and finally it was time to hang the hat up. They pulled my hat, and man, that was the first time in my life that where I fell into depression. Because
well, let me stop you there. I want to quickly back up because I do know the rest of this story, and I want you to go forward. But I just something kind of popped in my head when you started talking about that you went back to Esperanza and that you became the captain there, right? Something struck me. There are two main things about you that strike me just from right at the beginning. Okay. The fact that you united the friend groups from both schools, that being a uniter is like such an amazing quality to have. I grew up that way as well, where people that would have never been friends. Think about JWFIT. People that would have never known each other before or never been friends before, or even in your case, full-blown enemies, are now becoming friends, and you're the common denominator, you're the uniting force. Okay, that's the one thing. But what I would also tell you, and I would like to actually know, maybe not on this show, but on another one, if we went back even further than that, are you always going to be the comeback kid? Meaning, you went back to your original school and made a massive comeback. Okay. Mm-hmm. You captain of the football team, then, and I know where you went to the first school, and then you leveled up even from there. And then we'll go on, because I think people are going to understand that you are, in fact, and I think all three of us are, but in this case, you have a history of being the comeback kid.
Absolutely.
And not only is that my favorite band, but probably my favorite quality of a human, because, and I think a lot of people that understand like that champion spirit, that champion mentality, that the champion is typically the comeback kid.
Yeah.
100%.
Yep.
100%.
Yeah. I've had multiple big comebacks in my life where I've just been, rock bottom. Growing up as a kid, I had a speech impediment. I
did not know this.
Never told you guys this. I couldn't say my R's for a long time, and I got teased a lot. It started out with just like my brothers and like my cousin.
So you sound like an East Coaster? Like, what do you say, car? Like,
yeah, they would say car, and I say car. And they say Oreo, and I say Oreo. And all my cousins. I was like,
oh man, that's hilarious and so
and
sad
I have
at
like
the same time.
I had like 30 cousins. We'd show up at my grandma's house for Christmas dinner, and like legit 30 different cousins, all older. I looked up to all of them, and we all got along. But after a while, they'd sit me down, like, say this, say that, and I
just ripping on you.
Yeah, ripping.
Oh, no.
Ripping. And I would laugh it off, but I'm looking up at, I'm like 5 years old, and I'm looking up at my big cousins that are like 16, 17, 18, like, they're the shit, that's like, I totally looked up to them. And so that's kind of where it started. And then in school, just trying to communicate and people like, what are you saying? Like, what was that? And other kids kind of poking fun at me, and it fucking killed me to the point where I'd be sitting in class and a lady would come in, like a speech therapist in elementary school, and she'd say, okay, Dane, come with me. And I'd have to get up and leave class, go into the library with her in this little room, and she would pull out cards and like say car. Okay, do this with your tongue. And it was the worst. I'm like, what the hell is this? Dane,
I had to go through the same exact thing, dude.
Yeah.
With my S's. Same shit.
Yeah.
Right when you said the cards, I was like, motherfucker.
Wait, you have a list?
No, it was just something with my S's. Same thing. I couldn't do the S's, but it almost sounded like a lift, like the way I can't even like do it anymore. But yeah, dude, it was bad. I remember getting pulled out of class, going to the library, pulling out the cards.
Yeah, I always remember the kids that would get pulled out of class, and we would be like, "What's wrong with that kid?"
That was me, dude. That was me.
Here we are.
It would be something that wasn't as glaring as a speech impediment, so you didn't really know what was wrong with them, right? Or the people that had to go to or the kids that had to after recess had to go to the office every day, and they had to take meds, and I didn't ever have to do that stuff. So I know a lot of my friends that now looking back at it and where they ended up, and that they were going in to take like Ritalin and Concerta and all that shit. But they'd have to go right after recess, or lunch. Went lunch, recess. I don't know. School was so long ago.
Yeah.
And then they'd have to end up going to that. So yeah, you always wondered like, what's wrong with these fucking kids? Like,
so Dane, is that where you think I never really thought about that or spoke to anyone about where that can initially be internally damaging to us going into adulthood, like those little fucking moments of those experiences that fucked us,
And it's like being in recovery, right, and like being in sobriety, and like really cleaning house, right, like really taking personal inventory and going all the way back to like that trauma, like where did all this anxiety come from, like where did all this depression, where did this like insecurity come from, right, and tracing it back all the way to when I was a little kid like that, and maybe some trauma at home, right? And then just trauma out in the real world. But I think that's where it stemmed from, And so growing up as a young kid and being super uncomfortable, just fucking uncomfortable in my own skin, like even when I'd be in a room with my friends, I was still uncomfortable, for a very, very, very long time until I picked up that first drink and I drank it. Until I smoked that first joint, and I really felt that in my head and in my body, and I got all relaxed, and drinking that first beer and having that first shot of vodka or tequila, and just like all the anxiety, all the fear, all the insecurities, all the self-doubt, all the negative self-talk, all that negative frequency shit was just out the window. And I was comfortable and I could be myself. And so when I started doing that naturally, man, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I fell in love with it. I was like, dude, this is it. I found the secret to life. I've been so uncomfortable my whole life. All I need is this, and I'm good. That now I can talk fine. I don't get nervous. I can go talk to girls, go talk to any person I wanted, go wherever I want, whenever I want, and I'm never scared. Complete opposite of how, I experienced life in probably the first 10, 11, 12 years of my life, and that's what catapulted me into addiction,
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah.
For sure.
It's great, Dane. You and I, dude. It's so cool how long we've known each other, man. But dude, we have an identical story. It was about freshman year. I got really into weed. I played football, middle linebacker, captain of freshman. Went on to play JV. I also played some other sports, but I ended up switching schools after my junior year, going to another high school where I was still in bands. I was considered a punk rock jock back then because I was going to all the keggers. I was in a punk rock band, but still playing football Friday night lights. And when I switched schools, I stopped playing football. I actually ended up wrestling and playing hockey, went varsity over there. But I kind of mixed the crowds from La Sierra and Arlington together. So we'd go to parties and I was still playing in bands. We'd have the jocks with the metalheads, with the punk rockers, with the blacks, with the Mexicans. And literally it was all binding cultures. And I was kind of that united, the person that brought them together, man. And I still do that to this day, obviously with you guys. But I feel exactly the same way. And then going into Manchester, and then I was always insecure. I hung out with water polo, football players, wrestlers, like everybody. I was still the chubbier kid. Although I played the same sports, I drank the same amount of alcohol, I ate the same shitty food. I was always that uncomfortable kid until I got fucking drunk or high. And then all that pain went away, and I carried that into Mantis, and I ended up screaming my dick off for many years, and that's how I kind of got my outrage. But very similar story, dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
And I feel like that's really like a huge common denominator, right? For people in recovery. They were so uncomfortable, at a certain point in their life, whatever happened, maybe it was just them being insecure. It was something going on in their life. And then they found it out through drugs and alcohol, and it's like, dude, this is it. This is awesome. And you can control it, and I controlled it for the longest time, and it worked. Dude, I got to hand it to alcohol, and especially like Xanax and cocaine. That was my shit. That was my shit.
You know what,
Xanax.
though? As much as I don't, a lot of people, like we all have that same, where alcohol was the answer, drugs was the answer. Like that's what made us come out of our shell and things like that. But if you really look at it, to me at least, like I actually kind of was able to hold it together until trauma hit.
Interesting.
Yeah, was trauma in what way? What do you mean?
Well, it was typically involving nothing as catastrophic as yours, right? But trauma affects people differently, right? But mine was always like a toxic relationship or the end of what was a toxic relationship. And that was typically what would kick me off. It was always relationship based.
Yeah, dude, I was in so many toxic relationships, man. I was like addicted to that too. Holy shit.
But I never really sustained the kind of loss that you did. One, obviously, you get the concussions. But then we can move forward real quick and talk about Blake and Zach. And kind of, what really spiraled it. Because I would ask you, in college, when you were partying like that and doing all that, would you have considered yourself, even looking back at it now?
Yeah,
I would have considered myself an addict now that I look back at it, right? But I didn't really know it then. I didn't really think I was, because I switched up things a lot. It was like I was partying in college, right? And yes, I was a drug addict back then, but it was like when I ran out of Vicodin, I just smoked more weed. You know what I mean? I wasn't like scouring the earth for Vicodin, looking in the fucking couch cushions. You know what I mean? Or when I ran out of Coke, we would just party with Adderall. But you know what I'm saying? And but it was just, it never was.
I was a fiend. I was the guy lifting up couch cushions, tearing out my car seats out of my car, looking for that half bar that I dropped. Oh, I'd go to extreme lengths.
But while you were in college or after the trauma? Oh, really?
In college. Oh, absolutely. Because I was selling Xanax in massive amounts. I mean, up there in Humboldt, I was pushing about 1,500 pounds a week of bud. Had my buddy down here shipping me up ounces of cocaine to my front door that I would cut and mix and bag up. And so if I ran out of my supply, it was a bad day.
Yeah,
bad
even when I was,
I've been an addict. Yeah, man. I made sure that I wouldn't run out. Really, Xanax was my drug of choice. Because with Xanax, I wouldn't go through withdrawals, right? And so, if I got way too fucked up drinking and was an idiot and got in trouble, and I had to lay low. I had to cool it on the alcohol. I could do that for a couple days and lay low as long as I had my Xanax because I wouldn't go through alcohol withdrawals.
Yeah.
And I can just be mellow and I'm not going to be a crazy party animal. But I would only last 4-5 days max. And then it's I need my drink. I need a drink right now. And I take that first drink and it was off to the races.
And no, I definitely can relate. I wasn't downplaying my addiction by any means. Because no, there was no doubt I was an addict, but it was always me and other people, right? So I was the dope house addict, you know what I mean? The party was always going on. So I had a doctor, I had this doctor that would just fill whatever. Oh, I have a sore throat. Here's promethazine with codeine. Well, I'd get the big bottle of promethazine with codeine, and I would be we'd mix it up with the Sprite. And bring it into class with us, in a styrofoam cup and shit. But it was there were 5 guys. It wasn't I was charging for it. I was just hey, let's mix this up and go have fun with it, But then when the trauma started happening, that's when I started going deeper into it. So that's why I was just curious because when you went through and you can talk about that if you'd like, but when you went through the trauma that you did, would you say that your dependency changed?
Absolutely.
Because then you're using it to cope, right? Before or maybe you were using it to cope, but I don't think that at the time I was using drugs to cope. I was using drugs to get fucked up.
Yeah,
is there a difference? And I don't know this. I know quite a bit about addiction, but is there a difference between an addict who is an addict just to party and then an addict who's an addict to cope? And was I actually using it to cope from something? Were you actually using it to cope from something other than social anxiety and liquid courage?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You hit the nail on the head with the toxic relationships and the trauma. I went through the worst relationship. I was dating this girl for 6-7 years and then got a full ride up to Humboldt and had to do the whole long distance thing that just didn't freaking work. And we were cheating on each other and found out she was getting with, she guys would be sending me pictures at parties of her sitting on one of my best friend's laps, and then saying they just went in the room together. Oh yeah, I can hear them. He's smashing, and I'm sitting there by myself, homesick as shit. And I lived in a little 1-bedroom studio, bro. I moved up there with my buddy, Drew, and we got a spot together. But after a while, I'm like, dog, I'm out. I want to live by myself. And I got my own spot. So, talk about being by yourself. Yeah, isolation. Bro. Isolate. Thank you. And just, so, yeah, bro, when I'm by myself ripping lines and saying, okay, last one. Now it's 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Sun's coming up, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and I'm still drinking and snoring lines by myself. Yeah, I was like, fuck, I have a problem. Absolutely. So all that stuff went down in Humboldt. Bad stuff. The locals up there didn't like me moving as much as I was. That's their livelihood up there. That's how they keep food on the table and the lights on for their kids. Long story short, got jacked, got robbed, and got an ultimatum that I either pack up all my stuff and drive home and they escort me out of town or they blow off my head. And I said, I'll leave. So grabbed all my shit real quick and drove 13 hours through the night by myself and got back home, back down to Southern California. And, at the time when I left Humboldt, that's right after I met my now wife, Kelly. She was bartending at Malarkey's on Newport Peninsula. She had a place on 32nd Street, moved in with her. We lived there for a couple months, and then she was with a girlfriend that she was also living with. There was two of them in that place. And then we got our own spot on 10th Street, right on the bay. And it was sick. And, I came down with a ton of cash from selling all their narcotics up there. And I didn't get a job for, I don't even know how long, dude. I remember when we got down, like, I just had this big ass duffel bag just full of cash. And Kelly was on the bed when I got there. And I remember standing up on the bed. I was 21 at the time. Standing up on the bed, I just dumped all the cash on her on the bed. And then we proceeded just to, of course, do it on the cash. But like,
Nice.
It was awesome. And all I did was surf. I'd wake up, I'd go surf, I'd go hop in the water, I'd get out, I'd ride my skateboard or my bike to Malarkey's, and I would have free breakfast because Kelly was bartending. She would start from 6 a.m. till 2 p.m. And dude, it was just game on because I'd sit and have breakfast, 3 or 4 Bloody Marys, couple shots, go back home, rip some lines, wake back up because I'd be sleepy from the food and the Bloody Marys, go back out in the water, have a session, go back to Malarkey's, see the guys, have some beers, usually sit around and watch the games, bullshit, not do anything with my life. And I did that for a long time, man, and snorted up and drank every last penny of all that cash. Nothing to show for it. Nothing to show. And so at that time, I was like, well, shit, I got to get a job, man. Got a job in corporate America, working for Paychex, Fortune 100 company in outside sales, and fucking hated it. Absolutely hated it. Suit and tie, active, full-blown, somewhat functioning alcoholic and garden variety drug addict, and trying to hold it together with a bunch of normies, and taking trips out to New Jersey and upstate New York. And, I did that for about almost 2 years. I think it was a little over 2 years, and then they fired me finally. They let me go. My manager, Amy, cute little blonde lady, and she loved me, and pulled me in her office one day, and she was crying, bawling, crying. And she's like, I have to let you go. And I'm like, what? And she's like, it's not my decision. It's her boss. Me and her boss like had a thing. Guarantee it was just all me, just being that little, immature kid, alcoholic, drug addict, not doing my work, and stuff like that.
You're fired for that? I'm just kidding.
I got fired for lying. They asked me, I was going to Mammoth for a weekend vacation. And she was like, make sure you stop at one of your banks on the way and meet with the bankers and the tellers and grab something from them. I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, of course, sure. I'm like, I got like 6 of my buddies in the back of this Suburban.
You're not going.
Beers and hitting lines and smoking joints already. I'm like, I am not stopping at my bank. We're up on the 91 to the 15 to the, like, we're going to Mammoth, And then they found out like 2 weeks later, he actually called and was like, did Dane stop at the bank? And they're like, no, he didn't. He's like, yes, he's fired. Petty shit. But anyways, it was necessary. And I'll never forget that feeling, dude, getting fired from my first job. Oh, man. It was comparable to getting expelled. I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I'm such a loser. I'm such a fucking loser. Like, it's so funny looking back on it now. Because I thought, like, my life was over. I have to tell everyone I got fired. What am I going to do? This is so embarrassing. And, little did I know that was, like, the beginning of all this stuff that was going to happen to me that would ultimately lead to my breakthrough. That was like just one more bottom. And then, bro, I got fired from my job after that. Another bottom, and then going to work for some family friend and like just absolutely hating it, making little to no money, another bottom, and then I was broke. And I don't know, you wanted me to bring up my brother, Blake, and that trauma, so like I was an active alcoholic and drug addict for a long time, man, way before Blake passed away. In fact, it was December 2nd, a couple years ago, the day that Kelly and I found him dead in his apartment down in Newport Beach. We were actually on a Duffy boat. It was a Sunday, and we were with probably 10 of our friends cruising Newport Harbor, and we were just getting smashed, dude. I had probably half an ounce of Coke, Xanax, Adderall, so much alcohol, all the alcohol, vodka, tequila, I mean, you name it that you want, that you can ever have. And we cruised the harbor for hours, and just that's what we did. We pull up to little spots like Soul or Rusty Pelican. We'd run up and get some drinks and come back down the Duffy. And then I got a call from my mom. And, she said, hey, Blake's roommate is this older lady, and she just got home. She's been out of town or something like that. She's been home for days. She's been yelling Blake's name, knocking on his door. His door's been locked, and now he hasn't come out. No noise, no nothing. And she's getting really worried about him. And she's scared. And so, can you go check on Blake? And I knew right then and there that he was dead. And so we go back to the dock, and of course I tell all my friends, and everyone on the boat, just the biggest buzzkill. And God, I'm like reliving it. And we get on the dock, and just me and Kelly hop off, and Kelly starts sprinting to our truck, and I walked. And she's crying, and she's like, if he's dead, I'm going to fucking kill him. If he's dead, I'm going to fucking kill him. Just talking nonsense, And I just knew he was dead. I just felt it, man. Because we were so fucking close. We were connected, man. Like, we were attached at the hip since diapers. And I just had this feeling that he was dead. He was gone. And, Kelly pulls up with the truck, and hop in, and I'm just silent, because I knew it was coming. And we drive right up the street, Newport Boulevard, and turn on Hospital Road right there by Hogue, and pull into his apartment complex and go up to the room. And, the door was cracked open. I knocked, and she came out, and, I said, where's his room? And I moved her out of the way, and his door was locked, and I went on the patio and tried peeking in, and I see him slumped over on his bed facing the other way, and I'm screaming his name, and he's not moving. And so we go in, and I forgot, I think I took one of Kelly's hair picks or something, and, I picked his door and finally got it, and walked in, and there he was, and he was slumped over, sitting on the edge of the bed, and he was slumped over kind of on his face, and run up, and I'd roll him over, and, it didn't even look like him. I didn't even recognize him. It was, he had blood all over his shirt, all over his face. And he'd been gone for a long time, long time. He stunk, and it was terrible, absolutely terrible. Kelly immediately jumped on him and started just, I don't even know, trying to wake him up. She was hysterical and shock. And I just grabbed her off and said, he's gone. And then I called my dad. It was about, I don't know, probably 7:30, 8 o'clock our time. My dad was out in Tennessee. It's a couple hours ahead. I called him and woke him up, and I said, Dad, Blake's dead. And he just started screaming, no, work on him. You know what to do, work on him. So my dad was, as you guys know, a fire captain in Downey for 34 years. And I'd go on ride-alongs with them and see bodies and see them bringing people back to life after an overdose or something like that. But I said, Dad, he's gone. He's gone. He's been expired. He's gone. And called my mom, and I'll never forget the screams on the phone hearing my mom. And I didn't even have the balls to call Troy, my little brother. He was actually in Mammoth at the time with a bunch of his buddies celebrating his birthday. And Kelly called him. It was like his 18th birthday or something, or maybe like 20. He was 5 years younger than Blake. Blake was 28 at the time. So he was like 23, celebrating, partying with his friends. And Kelly called Troy and said, Blake's dead. We just found him. And I think he drove home that night. Yeah, man, it was the worst fucking day of my life. Coroner got there. Before the coroner got there, the cops showed up, and I just went into a rage. I just started, there was a big white line on his nightstand, and it just didn't look like Coke. It was all chalky and almost like methy, like crystally, and pills and shit. I just started hitting his fucking pills, and the first thing I said when I found him was like, "You fucking idiot! Look at you now! I told you." And I couldn't believe those words came out of my mouth, but it was just so much worry.
You can't control what comes out at that point.
There was so much worry, dude, because he was bad for, the last couple months since he got out of rehab. He just couldn't stay sober, and
I guess I didn't know that he had gone into a program.
Yeah, multiple, I think 2 or 3, he was living a sober living down in Laguna, and, he tried really hard, but, he just couldn't get it, and, ultimately took his life, and the cops actually put me in handcuffs, said that they almost arrested me for destruction of a crime scene or obstruction of a crime scene. And the captain or whoever got there, and he's like, "What the fuck are you guys doing? This is this kid's brother. Like, get him fucking out of handcuffs. Are you kidding me?" He started yelling at the rookie guy. And and then the coroner got there and, fucking bagged him up, and they can barely wheel his huge ass down the stairs. He was so big. And I'm like, I kept asking, "You guys need help?" And they're like, "You're not helping. You need to leave," And I was just in shock, and went back to the truck, and we sat in Kelly's truck, and we were just like, it was just silent, and we didn't say anything. And we're like, now what? What do we do? And we drove back down the 55 down to Baker. We were living in Costa Mesa at the time, and we sat on our couch in the dark all night, and we didn't say a word. We just sat there and literally didn't say a word. And then at 6 o'clock in the morning, I saw the sun coming up, and I went and showered. And right when that water hit me, it hit me, and I fucking just lost it, man. And a couple minutes later, Kelly actually came in with all her clothes on and just hugged me, and we just stood there and just fucking sobbed. And yeah, so that was that, man. And it was crazy because after, it was insane because so many people knew Blake and loved our family. I mean, we're very well known, in Orange County, and a lot of people hit me up. Oh, guy, and a lot of people came over to my mom's house for the next couple of days before the funeral, and it was really cool how many people showed up to the funeral. I mean, there was the fire department, all their fire trucks, all the families. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people packed this church in Yorba Linda. And I just remember weeks after, people are talking to me and Kelly, you guys going to get help? Are you guys going to talk to someone? And we're like, no, talk. What are we going to talk about? He's dead. I remember we actually talked about it recently because you just don't know what you don't know. You don't realize how sick you are when you're in it, and, it got to the point where, it was I used to numb myself at that point. That's when I really just was because I kept getting flashbacks of rolling him over and how stiff his hands were. And he was just locked up like this, he's just completely stiff. I forgot what they call it.
Rigor mortis.
Yeah. And, I just fucking drank myself to oblivion and ate Xanax like Skittles. And then a couple weeks after that, Zach, and, seeing him, he was naked on his toilet in his spot in Anaheim, my cousin Zach. And, still going to St. Joseph's Hospital and going in the ICU and, just having him just dead, just laying up, sitting up, on his cot, with his mouth wide open.
Too?
Yeah, accidental fentanyl overdose too. And I just sat there with him for 10 minutes and remember, dude, I just rubbed his head and told him I loved him and, said bye. And that's what put the nail in the coffin for me, because those guys were like my 2 older brothers. I wasn't closer with anyone. I was really, really close with Blake and Zach. And then I was just suicidal. I didn't even want to live. I didn't even want to live. I was like, dude, this fucking I just kept saying, just fucking kill me. Just fucking kill me, And just got drunk and loaded, dude, for the next couple of years after that until June 15th, 2021, you know. And Kelly actually called an intervention, you know. She had taken Charlie, our firstborn daughter, up to her parents' house for like the last couple of days because I was on a bender and we got in a big fight. And she's like, fuck you, I'm leaving. And, you know, as she should have, you know, I was a danger to be around. And woke up that morning, dude. I'll never forget. It was a Tuesday morning. We had our company sales call and at 8 a.m. And I'd been up since 6, like every morning. You know, I had my routine where I wake up and my hands are like this from the alcohol withdrawals. And the second I opened my eyes, I had a bar, Xanax on my nightstand. And that's the first thing I did when I wake up. I put it in my mouth and I chew it up. And I remember that taste and the bitterness. And I loved it. And most people hated it. And I'd get it down. I'd lay there for about 5 minutes, wait for the shakes to kind of go down. And I'd go in my kitchen and drink some vodka. I remember at the time I was like, remember those White Claws? I'd drink a couple White Claws. And then I would finally like be calm enough to have like a cup of coffee. And I was sitting on my sales call. And by then, you know, I'd already probably dusted half a gram of Coke up my nose, 100 milligrams of Vyvanse, probably 100 milligrams of Adderall, half a gram of Coke, a bar and a half of Xanax. Who knows how many drinks at this point. And I had this coffee mug, and I just had vodka in it, and just on my sales call, and no one knew. No one knew. You know, I was functioning at that point. That was just normal me. And I'll never forget, dude. I built out my office in my garage in my apartment at the time when we were broke. And I walk in my house or in the apartment, and the front door swings open. And it's Kelly and my little brother, Troy. And I'm like, what the fuck? You know, what are you guys doing here? Mostly at Troy, because me and Troy were in a big fight. And then I see my dad walk behind him. And then I knew it was serious, you know. And he had just gotten sober. He tried drinking himself to death like twice. He was in like the ICU for a couple months. He went loony. His brain filled up with fluid. And he was just hallucinating. He thought he was in like North Korea on a family vacation talking to people that weren't there. And my dad's sharp, you know, fire captain, owned his own medical company, was doing really, really well for a long time. Triathlete, marathons, bodybuilding, powerlifting, you name it. And so it hit us all really hard, dude. It's pretty much killed all of us after that happened. But when I saw my dad, he was like 90 days sober or something like that. And, you know, it lasted about 30 seconds. You know, I just remember all my dad said is, hey, man, we got this place and it's fucking ready for you. Okay. And all you have to say is yes. And all I said was, let's do it. I'm going to die. And I just started crying. I finally surrendered and I just cried. And at the time, Kelly's like, where's everything else? And I said, here's the keys to my car. I don't even know. And she went in my car and she pulled out like, like a tray. She found stuff in there. I didn't even know it was. I didn't even know. I thought I lost it, or I thought I sold it. Jars, like probably 7 different jars of Xanax, like 800 different pills, Coke baggies, cash, weed, Adderall. I mean, dude, it was just like a gun.
Oh, Jesus.
Like, holy moly. And so she drove me down to Laguna, to where I checked myself in and was in detox for 17 days, where they had to check my vitals every 45 minutes, and went through the worst pain of my life. It was the worst pain of my life, man. And shook it out for 17 days, and then got out and did an IOP program for like 90 days. And during that, got back to work. And that's when my life started taking off, man. You know, about 100 days into my sobriety and still living in that little tiny ass apartment. I was doing better mentally, starting to feel it. But I was taking so many Xanax the first 90 something days at least.
Clouded.
I was so clouded, dude, because I was pissing Xanax in my drug test for 84 days after I got sober. The sober living home and the rehab that I was at, they couldn't believe it. They're like, we've never seen anything like this. That's how much Xanax I was eating. I was literally just trying to kill myself. but it wouldn't work. And so around 100 days, that's when I really, my mind and my brain really started clearing up. And I'll just never forget that night, dude. I put Charlie down for bed and I had my shirt off and I went and stood in my bathroom and I was brushing my teeth. And like, it was like someone just like turned on the lights. It was like a switch just went on. I was like, the fuck? And I saw myself for who I'd become over all these years. I wasn't that athlete anymore. I wasn't that sharp, good-looking guy anymore. You know, I wasn't that confident individual. I was, my face was like this, just so fat and bloated. I lost all the color in my body. It looked like I was dying, literally. And big old man titties, big old beer gut, little like strings hanging off my shoulders for arms, and just rock bottom. Even though I was sober, that was like another just looking at myself like, what the fuck did you do, man? You know,
well, that stress that you had put on your body through the using, drinking, all of it, and you know, you and I and Jake, we all took it to an extreme. But there's those people out there that are still, they're maybe normie drinkers. I have a hard time believing most people that consider themselves normal social drinkers actually are. Most of them are full-blown alcoholics. Let's just call it what it is. But on top of the shit diet, the stress, the lack of sleep, just the overall unhappiness with their lives, they need the wake-up call that you have when you can actually find yourself in a clear moment where you said it. You see yourself for how you really are.
Yep.
And I walk around and I see these guys and they're like, you know, drinking or they seem like they have this like confidence, but it's like, dude, have you looked in the fucking mirror?
Bro, and that was me. That was me for so long. I was so loaded and drunk, and I have so many videos on my phone of me just like in a bar talking to girls or talking to guys or having conversations with people. And in the moment, at the time, I'm thinking, dude, I am just crushing
You're
it.
the shit.
I'm so smooth. I'm the shit. Everyone loves me. And my wife was like, well, everyone did love you, but you were just fucking loaded and blacked out. You know, and you can see it in my eyes that no one's home. No one's home. And it's like, you don't... See, I never let myself dry out. I never stopped. It was always, every day was like, first thing in the morning, right when I wake up, I need it. I'm willing to kill for it. You know, that's how bad it got. And like, I'd do anything. Like, if you had my shit and I didn't, I don't care. I'm getting it. You know, it got to that point. And I did some shady shit towards the end, man. You know, I really screwed a couple people over bad. And I didn't care. I didn't care less. I'm trying to get mine, dog. You know, that was just that addict, just ruthless. And, you know, it's cool because the program, you know, and doing that step 8, man, I've been able to make amends to those people.
That's cool.
You know, and talk about, you know, I mean, it's just, everything has come full circle, man. You know, but that, you kind of just like, I don't know, Justin, like you pointed out something kind of cool that no one's ever pointed out to me before, is like the comeback kid, you know, and you know, that's just with you know, with the drugs and alcohol and losing my brother and losing my cousin after that. And I mean, shit, I've lost so many of my good friends too. But a lot of it in sobriety, you know, and I don't know, Justin, I'm sure you've lost guys too, you know, but
yeah. And there's no doubt, like we do. But you're like you said, we were able to make our amends. We're able to do our best to try to, like, I don't know, make it right. And sure, we do that. That's part of our STEP program. But how many of these people that you lost along the way were actually there for you then? How many of these people were more enablers, benefited from you actually being fucked up? So it's like, really, like, I think sometimes, like, where yes, we're in the wrong. We fucked somebody over or we fucked up. But possibly losing them, regardless of how we lost them, whether it was their by their doing or our doing, it probably never needed to be there to begin with.
It absolutely wasn't. And I knew that at the time because they're already taking advantage of me because I was a big drug dealer. I had everything, you know. And
but
so
we do our part because that's part of our spiritual awakening. That's part of us getting sober. But at the end of the day, like, it's cool. Make your amends, but you know, it's over then.
Hey, Dane, I was going to ask you, man, and, you know, feel free, you know, if you don't want to answer, but I mean, before your brother's death, were you familiar with death in your family? Did you grow up with a lot of death around, or was this kind of like something that was new?
Couple family friends, nothing out of the ordinary. I think everyone, you know, kind of loses, you know,
sure,
family friends or friends from school or you know, your friends' parents. And it's like, God, that's just terrible. I can't even imagine losing. Like, I had some buddies who lost siblings, you know, and I'm just like, I can't even fathom. I can't even imagine. Like, I put myself in their position before we lost Blake, but nothing that close to home to where like I couldn't eat or sleep for a week. You know, it's just like you're really bummed out and sad for them. But you know, nothing like my mom or my dad.
Yeah, I know a lot of people become numb to it. And, you know, I lost my dad at 2 years old. And ever since then, it was having a big family, having a lot of friends, being in a band, doing the thing. You have a lot of acquaintances. You have a lot of people in your life. And so I've become numb, but it still never helps. And it brings me back to Justin, you saying, was I all these years, every time I lost somebody, let's just say the most recent was, you know, my grandmother. But before then, when I was still using, drinking, I had my guitar player, Adair at the time, living with Angela and I. We'd party, we'd be in the garage, whatever. And one night we were wrecked. We were wrecked and we got the phone call. His mom, we knew she was on some stuff and we got the call and we knew, just like you, Dane, we had that gut feeling. I looked at Adair, I said, you ready for this? And it was his mom, other mom, Chia, her wife, said, Adair, your mom's gone. And we were just like, we were loaded. We had partied the night before. We just had that like anxious, like, oh, fuck. He looks at me and I go, I mean, we just both started, he was just numb. He didn't cry. I started bawling because that was our band mom, dude, growing up. And, you know, we went and did the whole thing, went and checked her, same thing, found her body, rolled her over, pulled her out. But anyways, that's where, Justin, you were saying, were we just coping with it or were we addicts? So every time I've lost somebody, I've used that as an excuse to go deep. Get the bag, do the bag, buy another bag, 3-day bender, you know. So it's fun you guys bring because I've never been in recovery or program. You guys have been my recovery. I haven't drank or done anything since being with JWFIT, so I've never considered myself an addict. But I guess when you put it that way of coping or just being the addict, I mean, what's the answer there? What's the bottom line? How do we figure that out?
Yeah, I mean, they have the defined lines and like the, you know, the committee. The committee has their whatever that means.
I think it all comes down to just escaping your reality, right?
Right.
And that's kind of what goes back to like just me as a kid being so uncomfortable that I found something that escaped my reality and I fell in love with it. And so now today, right, like I've built up this life brick by brick, one day at a time over the last couple of years, and I've built this beautiful life that I get to live, man. So I don't ever have to, I don't require a drink today. I don't require Xanax or any drug or anything like that. I'm able to handle situations. Like, talk about stress. I thought I was stressed out back then. Like, now as a business owner with a lot more, with a wife, with a 9-month-old, with daughter, with a 3-year-old daughter, working this program. Oh, dude. You know what? I have 100 times more stressors in my life today, but I'm able to handle it. And I'm not, you know, I don't have to sound the alarm, you know. I don't have to escape my reality, you know.
And it all came. So I think a lot of people that are just let's just not even isolate addiction and alcoholics or addicts and alcoholics. Sorry. But just isolate people that are, because at the end of the day, we're just unhappy with ourselves, right? We use, we drink, we suffer with fear issues, all of that because we're just unhappy with ourselves, right? So it's fear. It's like constant fear, right? And you find that somebody that goes through, and I think the cool thing about this show right now is that all three of us have been through a transformation: physical transformation, lifestyle transformation, getting sober, financial transformation, whatever. Okay. But it all started with two things: risk and commitment.
Yes.
Right? Risk and commitment. When you're unhappy with yourself, because we talk to people all the time, guys.
Every day.
That are literally shitting themselves when it comes to risk and commitment, whether it be somebody that's a prospective client or somebody that's a prospective coach.
Yep.
And it's like the prospective clients, it's a little bit of risk, but it's really fear of commitment, right? Mm-hmm. The lifestyle change, the diet, the training, the nutrition, whatever. They're fucking scared.
Yeah.
Okay. The financial commitment. And then we talk about the coaches that think that they're going to do something great with their life. They talk about it all the time. They have these goals, which we talked about a while back, that goals are fucking meaningless if you don't have systems and processes.
Yep.
But they're pissing on their nuts when it comes to taking a risk.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, someone like you got into online coaching and you took a massive risk, right? You had no money.
Broke. I had $287 to my name. 200, and I was like 12 grand in debt and credit card debt. And I had to go to the bank to join this program, this 90-day program for $7,500. Asked for a loan. They said, hell no. Because my credit score was so terrible at the time. And I know you guys know the story, but I stayed in the bank for over 2 hours, man. I just begged them. I wouldn't leave. And they're like looking at each other like, what are we going to do with this guy? Because like I just kept standing there after they told me no. And then I'd keep talking to them. And they're like, dude, like, what don't you get? And I'm like, I'm not leaving, you know? And then finally I sat down with this banker and he was really cool. He was a nice guy. And the manager came around the back, you know? And he's like, the first thing he said is, hey man, I like you. And I was like, what? And he goes, I like you. You don't take no for an answer. And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, well, why you been talking, dude? I was looking up your account. Bro, I got you approved for 2 credit cards. And guess what? It amounts up to $7,500. And I'm like, get the hell out of here.
I love that part of the story because like it is. I understand how credit works and how lending works. But
there are two different. One was for like 30 or 45. One was for like 3,000.
Yeah. I didn't think that they would both add up to what 3,750 or whatever. But that's really funny how that worked out. But here's the thing, okay? So you were shitting your pants before you probably walked into the bank, I would imagine, right? Sure. I mean, you were nervous. You know, this was a big risk for you, okay? But most people, when they suffer from fear at that level, most people would have been told no, and they went, "Oh, it's just not meant to be."
Yeah, and I did that.
Fucking hate meant to be. You think I hate saturated? I fucking hate meant to be. Saturated fucking blows nuggets, but meant to be. That is the fucking pits. That's the fucking meant to be when it comes to like, you know, all right, maybe relationships, connections with people, things like that, meant to be, whatever, fairy dust. But when it comes to business, taking risk, it wasn't meant to be. No, motherfucker, you didn't put in the work. You didn't actually commit. You're wishy-washy with, not you, Dave, you're wishy-washy with your risk. You're only going to take the risk if it was meant to be, you pussy bitch.
If I would have listened to my pussy voice,
it's true,
and not taking that risk, I would not be sober today, and I would not be sitting right now with you two if I listened to that inner bitch voice and did not take that fucking risk.
100%.
You have to fucking take the risk.
And it just, I don't know, man. Like, that was really... Getting sober is what helped me do that, you know, because I think for so many guys and girls out there that are stuck in their addiction, I think for me, let's just talk about me, is I was so scared to get sober and live a sober life because I was so dependent on alcohol and drugs. Just to function, just to go outside, just to go in the grocery store and grab a freaking gallon of milk. I'd be tripping out on like the smallest little tasks. What was just monumental for me, you know? And so for me, that's where the fear came in, was I knew I had to get sober, and I tried 1,000 times different ways to get sober on my own. Therapy. I mean, my parents were putting me in therapy, going to 5 or 6 different counselors over the course of a couple years, the church thing. I mean, dude, you name it. I tried it all and failed miserably every single time, where I would literally promise myself, and I'd be so dead serious that like today, I'm not going to drink. I'm not going to take any pills. I'm not going to get loaded. And dude, I would last till maybe 9 o'clock. And by 10, I would be hammered. And I remember multiple times sitting in my car by myself in a parking lot crying because I didn't want to drink. And I had this big, warm 40 ounce from the night before that was sitting in my back seat. And I just could not stop drinking. And I was crying because I didn't want to do it anymore, but I was just fucking powerless. I was a slave. And it was the fear of like, dude, how am I going to relearn how to live life? And I think that's the biggest thing, is finding that courage to just walk through that fire and walk through that fear. It's crazy because like in my own head, like as an alcoholic and addict, right? Like I blow shit out of proportion and I make shit up in my own head. And after a while of talking to myself in my own head about that, whatever thing that I have so much fear over, I make it bigger and bigger and bigger than it actually is. You know, and so finally when I did that in sobriety, where I'm like, you know what? When I said, yeah, let's do it, I'm going to die. And I checked myself in, and yeah, it hurt. It hurt a lot. It was the worst pain I've ever gone through. But I just sat there in it, and I felt it. And I felt it all. I remember just telling myself in that moment, like, remember how this feels so that you never, ever, ever go back here again. And like after a week and still feeling like shit, I got to the point where I was like, gratitude. I'm like, I'm grateful for this. I know I'm not going to die. I'm going to be okay. I don't know how or what I'm going to do, but I'm going to figure it out. I'm just going to take one step at a time, and I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to ask for help. I'm going to surround myself with guys that have this thing figured out, and I'm just going to give it my best shot, man. And then little by little by little by little, I started getting better, hopped into that program, so just dished all my old friends. That had to have been one of the hardest things ever. All the guys I grew up with that I just fucking love and still love to this day. But they all know I just have to love them from a distance because I can't be around that stuff, man. I have to protect my sobriety at all costs.
Right.
And, you know, and so that's what like catapulted me into that day in the bank. I'm like, I was thinking back when I got sober. I'm like, dude, if I did that, I can do this. Yeah. And it was the same thing when I got back into the gym, day one, 100 days into sobriety. I'm like, dude, if I got through that shit 3 months ago, I can sit in this pain and get back in shape and lose all this fat, build all this muscle, and just go to battle with myself. And then after I did that, then I'm like, you know what? I want to start my own business and be an online coach and mentor. And then being broke and being like, you know what? This ain't going to stop me. I'm going to figure it out. I don't know how or how, I'm just going to go to the bank. And just one thing after another. It's like just one little step in the right direction. And, you know, I talked about it in a reel a couple weeks ago. It's like, dude, stop waiting for everything to be perfect because it's never going to be perfect.
No.
Ever.
No. Well, the truth is, if you're waiting for the right moment, you are implying that when things get hard again, that you're just going to fucking quit.
Exactly. Yep. It's never going to be perfect, you know, and be grateful for that. You know, like be grateful for the storms, be grateful, like the struggle, like the fucking adversity. Like to me today is beautiful, man.
Well, that's one of the reasons that I take an addict or an alcoholic over anybody is because we already know how bad it can get.
Oh,
like,
quit.
You're gonna throw me at rock bottom, dog? My fucking birthstone is rock bottom. Like, try again. Oof.
So, Dane, for anyone that's listening to this right now, man, and are seeking help and that are like really this story hit home with them, what would be your advice, literally, to anybody right now watching this podcast that's feeling your pain?
Oh man, ask for help. Ask for help, and it's like this, man. You know, if you're anywhere near as bad as I am, you got to detox. You just have to, you know. And like nine out of 10 guys that I talked to that come into the program today, like even the young kids, dude, they don't even start with like we start with like mushrooms and like ecstasy and like acid, and then got into a little bit of coke, and then like I never like used any kind of needles, like no meth, like no like super hard drugs. I was actually like allergic. I am like allergic to opiates, or else I'd probably be dead today. But it's like, you know, these guys, these little kids are just going straight to fentanyl today. You know, like these 18-year-old kids are walking in and like, what's your drug of choice? Like fentanyl. You ever done coke? No. No. I just smoked a joint and then I started doing fentanyl. And it's like, shit. And, you know, even if you're not on fentanyl, you're not using that hard, you know, you have to detox, you have to dry out. But like the number one thing, man, like the only thing that worked for me is working a program. Surrounding yourself with people that have figured it out, that found the solution, right? Like that book that we read in the program, they almost named it The Way Out, you know, like the way out of hell, you know, because that's what it is, man. And you have to surround yourself with like-minded people that are doing the same thing as you. Don't go and visit old friends. I went and visited an old friend and I was this close to picking up a drink. And when I felt that feeling and I was like, dude, I was already doing Poole Fit.
Yeah.
I literally got up and I ran to my car and he ran after me. He's like, where are you going? And I'm like, I gotta go. And he's like literally like holding my door. I'm like, dog, bye. Like kicked him out of the way, hopped in my car, hauled ass back down to the beach and called Kelly, and I was shaking. And I'm like, I can't. We were talking about it like the other day. And don't go visit old friends. They're going to be doing the same shit they've been doing for the next, 20 years, if they don't change. And
it's time to detach, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's the biggest thing, guys. Like that I learned in my recovery is like, just let go. Let go of control, let go of the people. Blood does not equate to family. And like people need to understand that too. Blood does not equate to family. And so just bail. Like honestly, you're better off going ghost mode. And you are, because eventually if you actually work your program, and whether it's AA or whatever, if you actually work on yourself internally, you're going to find your authentic self. You're going to find the real person that you are supposed to be. You can take the mask off.
Yeah. And I think for me, and I see this a lot with newcomers coming into the program, right, is they are terrified. They're mortified of everyone finding out that they're trying to get sober. I'll never forget, bro, when I was in rehab, I was invited to my good friend Reed Williams. He was Blake's best friend. And really, me and Blake were so close that our friends, we're just all in the same friends group, right? Yep. So really, really close with Reed for a long time. He was getting married. It was his wedding. And of course, I couldn't go. I was stuck in rehab. And I texted him and said, hey, bro, I'm in rehab. I can't come. Don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone, because I'm super embarrassed. First Blake dies and like everyone knows that he OD'd and like people are talking. I don't want like, oh, Dane's in rehab now. What a loser. Like, I was just mortified at the time. I was super embarrassed and ashamed of myself. Yeah. And I'll never forget, dude. It was the day that I got out of detox. The first guy texted me. He said, bro, I'm not going to say his name, but he texted me and he's like, bro, I heard what happened. Everyone was talking about it at the wedding, like our entire friends group. And everyone was like, no way, Dane's in rehab. So I just want to check on you. And then like 15 people started texting me. And I was so mortified. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me, dude. Because it was just like, boom, cat's out the bag. Hell yeah. Dane's getting sober. Dane checked himself in. And it was crazy. I look back on it now. It's so stupid that I was so scared for everyone to find out. But I talked to these new guys, and they're the same way. They're like, I don't want anyone to know. I don't want to keep this on the DL. Like, don't let anyone know. And I'm like, all right, like, no worries, bro. But after you start getting good, you start drying out. You start working the steps. You start becoming who you truly are, and you start being comfortable with that person. Your confidence goes up, right? And then within like 2 months, I started wearing that sobriety thing like a badge on my shirt, to where when people would offer me drinks and shit, I was like, nope, I'm sober. I don't drink. And they're like, what? And I wasn't embarrassed anymore. And so then I just started taking pride in that, like walking around and people like same old guys in the bars, same old guys going into my family's restaurant, Tide Pools down in Newport Beach on PCH. Come have a beer, you know. Oh, Dane, I haven't seen you in months. Where you been? Me standing over them, like, dog, I cleaned up my shit. I'm sober. I don't drink anymore, you know. And I don't know, man. So I think the biggest thing is like, don't be ashamed. Don't be embarrassed. Don't worry about anyone else.
So tell me this, somebody like myself who's never been in program, you guys keep talking programs and places. What are some resources? What is like, you know, somebody who doesn't know where to turn? How can we get somebody, if they're listening, don't know who, don't have friends, don't have family, don't know where do they go?
Reach out to us. We'll put them in line.
Yeah, seriously. Reach out to us. Reach out to us on Instagram. But I mean, guys, like recovery is huge today, right? All you got to do is go on Google. And there's plenty of numbers that you can just call and people will get you plugged into meetings, detoxes, rehabs, you name it. You know,
it seems like it's almost like the fucking cool thing to do, man. Meeting so many of you guys, and like every single person I met that's coming out of rehab is a fucking badass. They're straight alpha, cool as shit, here to serve the world. And I feel like it's kind of like a fucking cool thing to do, man. Like it should be on everyone's resume.
Sexy, dog. Sober is sexy.
Bro, sober sexy. You know what? Like, it's crazy. Justin says it all the time. It's like, man, when we get these guys on the call, they, you know, these coaches who want to join our agency and community, and we open it up with having them tell us a little bit about themselves. And when they start telling how big of a drug addict and alcoholic they are, and then they're finished, Justin always loves to say, man, I love you. We love you just for the fact that you are an alcoholic and a drug addict like we are. Not in spite of the fact, like your family, you know, and your mom and your dad and your brothers and your grandparents. Yeah, even though he's an alcoholic, we still love him. Like, it's the complete opposite with us. It's like, bro, we love you because of that. Because you're one of us. And
There's a big difference. There's a big difference.
You've been through the same
because and in spite.
That's right. And you know what? I'm definitely Jake to add on that. I've seen a major trend, man. Because I see some leaders, guys at the top, that were just like the leaders in their group that everyone followed behind, and they got sober, and it's, you know, might take months, couple years, but eventually though that friend group, one by one, they all start getting sober because they see us living this life. Yeah. And they're still doing the same shit. They're still miserable. They're still sitting there crying, drinking by themselves in their room, hungover all the time, you know, just fucking up left and right. Can't stay in a relationship, can't stay with the, you know, can't do anything, man. And they're seeing us just progressing through life. And I don't know, man. Like it's just such a better way of life, man. And I'm honestly kicking myself.
It's a bold fucking move for somebody to go through that and actually admit they need fucking help. And I think once somebody does that, it opens such a wide door for people to be unfucking stoppable, dude. You know, it's the same way turning down a drink. It's so fucking easy to accept a drink, but to turn down a drink to another grown man, it's a bold move, and it really speaks volume on that individual to fucking say, no, I don't need a drink to have a good time. You know, at least for me,
to both of your guys' points right there, it's like this, okay? An alcoholic, a drug addict, even just a party fucking animal has the worst FOMO, right? So you would think when they start seeing people get sober and fucking crush it in life, they would have the same FOMO. But that FOMO just turns into plain old fear. It's not even fear of missing out at that point. They're missing out. We have a fantastic life. We're loaded. We're jacked. We're fucking partying, and we don't need a fucking pill, right? We don't need a drink. But to them, they still need that instant gratification. So where they have FOMO, fear of missing out of the party, now it's just fear of the work.
Well, and Justin, think about when we went to Vegas, right? And we got all the cabanas and we're hanging out. Everyone, all the guys and girls were coming up to us like, dude, what do you guys do? Who are you guys? And everyone was trying to offer us drinks. And then we told everyone, like, dog, all of us, we're all sober. We don't drink. We don't do drugs. We don't need that shit. And it just, how many nice restaurants have we been to, or events when people come up to us and offer us drinks or drugs or whatever, and we say that, and immediately it just like the whole thing shifts and they're like mind blown. Wait, you guys are Vegas. You guys are the loudest group, the most obnoxious, crazy. You guys are having the most fun here at this pool party. You guys are causing a scene. Like, my girl won't even stop staring at you guys. Finally, we got to come here and like ask you guys who the hell you are, and you're not even loaded. You're not even drinking. How? You know, and it's like, we don't need it. You know, it's just, I love that shit. I love
We're
it.
happy existing.
Yeah.
We're happy thriving.
Yeah, we're the fucking.
Sorry, Jake. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just saying we're the fucking wolves, dude. Tatted, jacked, and true, dude. It's like I
fucking right.
Fucking love that.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about thriving, because Dane, you took your fucking risk. You fucking risked it all. You laid all you went all in. So you made a big boy move. First, you made your big boy move getting sober. Then you made your big boy move by walking in that bank, not taking no for an answer. But then finally, you took that leap and you invested into yourself, and you actually bet on yourself. And however that program went with you, we all know the truth. But moving forward, life changed, right? And you started to create this like image. You started to create this person, this character that people see, and it's really you. It's all authentic, absolutely. Yep. But people started coming to you and looking to you, and you've changed a lot of lives, right? Yeah. You've changed a lot of lives, whether they're paying you for it or they're following you for it. They have.
Yep.
But then we met.
Oh man, dude! I'll never forget. I will never forget. I will never ever forget the day I met Justin in person, because we were both on that program, and we were the two top performing coaches out of freaking hundreds of guys, right? And I saw Justin killing it. He saw me killing it. We would send each other DMs, like each other's posts, maybe comment here and there. And then Justin started asking me questions about the program and da-da-da-da-da. But anyways, I'll never forget that day that we actually met in person on Main Street here in Huntington Beach.
Was it a planned visit?
No, not planned. Not planned.
Okay.
Dude, it is funny because my barber, you know, we're in the barber shop.
Let's just tell it from the barber's point of view.
So I'm in the barber shop. Adrian's trimming my beard, and Justin's barber is right next to Adrian. What's his Miguel? And so I'm laid back, and I'll tell it just how Adrian told me the story actually on Thursday, about 4 days ago, when he was trimming my beard again. And he was asking me about JWFIT, how's it going? I'm like, dude, it's amazing, you know. And he's like, God, you guys are just crushing it. Da, 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 da. And he goes, you know what? I remember that day you and Justin met. I go, you do? He goes, yes, I'll never forget. And, you know, he had me back, all in reclined. He has a towel, the warm towel on my face with all the shaving cream. And he's letting it soak in and open up my pores, getting ready to shave. And he comes up behind me. He goes, hey. I'm like, yeah, what's up? I have the towel on my face. He goes, hey, you know Justin Wenzel? Well, yeah, I know Justin. He's a homie. He goes, you ever met him? I go, no, not in person. He goes, well, he just walked in. And so I go, well, what happened? Like, what do you remember? And he goes, well, you immediately said, take this towel off of me right now. And I did. And he goes, your big ass got out of the chair, and Justin's sitting straight ahead on the couch, and he's on his phone, and he's like in his phone, looking down between his legs, texting all fast, probably shooting a DM. And he goes, you went over to him, and I forgot what you said, but you hit his leg really hard and scared him. Like, hey! And I remember Justin looked up at me, kind of startled a little bit, and immediately he just stands up, and I'm like, oh, shit, Shrek, don't eat me. And he just towered over me. And I'm a big guy, you know, and Justin's like, you know, a head taller than me. And Adrian said, I saw you guys hit it off, and it was just purely organic. And I remember saying to myself then, Justin and Dane, this is going to be something big. And, dude, I'll never forget, because I left, you know, he finished trimming me up. I left. Justin sat down. He started getting cut. I'm like, I'll see you, bro. It was really nice meeting you. And I drive home, and then, like, as I'm like pulling into my garage, I get a notification that Justin tagged me in a story. And I'm like, no shit. And Justin's just walking down Main Street. He's like, I just met an individual, reeking a purpose, reeking a discipline, reeking of like confidence. And he goes, Great Dane. That was when I was still branded Great Dane before I came out with Poole Fit, right? Before I rebranded. And I go, oh, dude, this guy likes me as much as I like him. And I go, this is going to be good.
I can't believe you remember that. I completely forgot I put that in a story. That is awesome.
Bro, you got to get
and
that.
I showed Kelly, I go, look at this guy. Look at this guy.
Oh my
He's all
God.
giving me a shout out. He's just reeking of purpose. He's like, he just shut the, I mean, you said a lot of nice stuff about me, about being in the barbershop. And then after that, man, we just started talking every day. We started meeting up. We started training together. We'd go get lunch. And we became really good friends, man. And it was right when, like, me and Justin got close quick. And it was right when we had Cameron. And, you know, Justin and Scotty were already well on their way building this bulletproof system, JWFIT agency, already signing coaches, already doing good. And I'm watching them, and I'm like, shit, man, they're really doing good. You know, they're making a lot of noise. They're signing all these coaches. And that's when Justin reached out to me, you know. And he's like, why don't you just hop on this call with me and Scotty? And we were talking on the phone before that a little bit. He goes, yeah, just, you know, and Justin's such a sweet talker. He's so good at what he does, dude. And just buttering me up, you know. And he's like, well, you know, I just see you, you know, I just love what you do, man. And we could really, like your energy. And I mean, you know what I used to do, right? Like I would train, you know, I was like, you know, I was running dealerships. I'd pump my guys up and like, dude, you have that same energy. Guy, I just love it. And, I'm like, shit, thank you, bro. And so he asked me to come on the Zoom with him and Scotty, and I'll never forget, dude. I saw Scotty for the first time. I'm like, so you're karate Scotty. I've heard so much about you. And hit it off with Scotty. Totally hit it off with Scotty. Ended up loving the guy. And they asked me to join after running me through the presentation. And it was a no-brainer. No-brainer. I just felt it in my heart, dude. I felt it in my gut.
What date was this? Like what month and year was this?
Man. Close to a year ago.
Yeah.
Close to a year ago.
September 22-ish, you'd say?
It was we can look up the date.
Yeah, it was definitely before February.
Yeah.
Because I was in Tulum in February. You were in then.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I was well in my because Cameron was born in March.
Yeah.
So it was before that.
Probably end of January.
Yeah. So close to a year now, you know, it's December, but, and yeah, man, we just hit the ground running. We hit the ground running. And I remember I just like I got to work, dude. And Justin, remember I brought on a lot of guys. I hit up everyone I knew. And
it was just like you, Jake, like he like got in and like his natural leadership, that level 5 leader that we talk about all the time was Dane.
Yeah.
And that was like what I wanted to build this team off of, was guys that I thought were or could be level 5 leaders.
Yeah.
Right. That was what my goal was. So Dane, like immediately, like, you know, and I already knew that he was this way because he already had his own community he was building.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it was like, man, if I could have another guy who is a uniter going all the way back to senior year of high school, right? That's also a comeback kid. Because let's face it, guys, we're in our 30s and now, you know, we're blooming. I think the best fucking bloomers are late bloomers.
Late bloomers, baby. Late bloomers, late to the show, comeback guys. And it's like, it's just a testament, man, to like all the other guys and girls out there that are like mid-30s that are just like still in their shit. Still in their shit. Maybe even still living at home, still struggling, whether that's in addiction or not. But for whatever reason, they haven't found their breakthrough. You know, they haven't found their true purpose. My life really took off, man, when I really found my purpose. And that's just to serve other people, man. You know, and to make them successful in every single area of their life. That's what I get out of kick. That's what I get a kick out of today. In fact, that's like my fix. That is my alcohol. That is my drug. I would say the gym is, and don't get me wrong, it is. You know, it gets my head right every single morning. but like comparing that pump that you get in the gym to that phone call you get from one of your clients or from his wife crying and thanking you that he hasn't drank in 11 months and he's a completely different guy and his business is taken off and they saved the house and got the kids back and da 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 da, or getting the text messages from the kids, dude. It doesn't
Or his wife, or the wife looks at him differently, and he's, he's living his best.
Man, it just, that is like the biggest endorphin hit ever,
And it goes right back to this though, like your intention for this. Like, I know how much money you make. I see it directly. Okay. I know how much money you make, and I know how much money all of you guys make. Mm-hmm. But it's not the reason you do this.
No, absolutely not.
Bro, you are on your way to being very wealthy, rich, for sure. Jake, you're coming right up. But you never got in it to get rich.
No.
And it's funny because your previous mentor was like all glitz and glam. And whatever, but like I don't even think that mattered to you even then.
No,
cool, but it looks cool. Now that you have it, now you have the big house. Now you have the foreign cars. Now you have the watch. You have the private tattoo sessions sitting in your office. You have all the great cool things, right? You have financial freedom. You have time
freedom.
Yeah. Time is the biggest one, man, for me.
Time. But at the end of the day, it's all about service, which is why you're successful. I talk about this all the time.
And if I can elaborate on that, we started this thing. I started Poole Fit. I know you started JWFIT, your mindset, fitness, nutrition, sobriety program, way before you even started this community and agency, right?
Yeah.
That's why we were so aligned. That's why we saw eye to eye. That's why we hit it off the way we did so organically, is because we were so invested in that 12 step, right? The service aspect of helping everyone around us get better and making an impact in people's lives, that all the other shit just came naturally.
Right.
And so by being a good coach, being a good leader, being a good mentor, and a great example, leading these other men into life and to show them, bro, you don't need this drink. You don't need this drug. You don't need these vices. Just watch how your life takes off when you drop that shit, when you unhook the trailer that's literally been holding you back your whole life. If you're able to unhook that trailer, then you start progressing. And when we based it off that was square one. It's just service. Let's just try and help some people, man. By being a good coach, by being an outstanding coach and mentor, the money's just a byproduct.
100%.
The money just comes with that. We're selling results. We're not even really selling programs. But
that's the first mindset I tell people to get rid of is stop selling programs and sell results.
Exactly. So all the flashy shit, all the gangster shit, it came as a byproduct of just like putting my heart, my soul, everything I had into these guys, and to truly wanting them to get better, self-sacrificing time, going above and beyond to help these guys out. And then you start getting testimonials. They start getting ripped. They start doing better at work. They start getting the family back. All this stuff starts happening in their life. A lot of my clients are just referrals from other clients because they're watching their neighbor down the street get better. They're watching their brother get better. They're watching their cousin, their boss, their employee, right? They're like, dude, what the hell have you been doing? Oh, I joined this guy, Poole Fit, man. He's been helping me with every single aspect of my life. He's got me waking up early, reading books, listening to these podcasts, doing all these non-negotiable tasks every day. And like, I don't know, man, it's only been 60 days and I've already lost 20 pounds. And I finally got that girl that I've been too scared to ask out, and I haven't drank any alcohol for the first time in my life, dude. I'm 60 days sober. And so it's like, really like, it's the law of attraction that starts kicking in, right? We're like, they're not even having to promote it. They're not going around telling everyone, hey man, just so you know, I got up at 4 a.m. and I hit my workout. It was pole day. Yep. Oh, by the way, man, I count all my macros today. I know you didn't ask me, but I just want to tell you that. Like, no, they're not doing that. People are noticing the change in them, the positive change. And they're literally getting approached like I was getting approached everywhere I went, from people who knew me, that big bear belly, little skinny arms, pale white, little scraggly beard, hair like half an inch, like nappy head. You know what I mean? And then people that haven't seen me in a couple months and they saw me, they're like, dude, what the hell happened? Like, you look great. You sound great. Your eyes are clear. You know, so then they want to be part of it. So it turns into a law of attraction, a program of attraction, and not so much of a program of promotion, you know? And so people just want to be a part of it. They're like, I don't even know what it's about. I want to join. You know, I'm not huge on fitness. I could use help in my nutrition, but really it's just mindset, dude. I'm just lazy. I'm undisciplined. I just need someone to kick me in the ass. I'm like, perfect. That's me. I'm going to be an asshole, but guess what, bro? I'm going to be the biggest loving asshole that you've ever had in your life, you know? And I don't know, man. You know, the last 2 years of my life has been, it's this year was the best year of my life, by far.
So that brings me to my last question I'd like to ask us, especially coming up to the new year. What's in store for you for 2024? What is your big, what are you looking to do in 2024?
More in everything. The systems that we have in place are amazing. You know, Justin's a freaking genius. We all know it. And you know, he used to say it in the beginning. He doesn't say it anymore, but you know, anything he touches in business turns to gold. And it's like when he started saying that to me in the game, I'm like, yeah. Here we are, like a year and a half later. But just more. I just demand more out of myself. Period. More.
I love that.
More in the gym, but really I want to help more people, dude. You know, and by me helping more people and bringing them higher and higher and higher and watching them elevate and really transcend self to get to the point where they're good now, and then they go around and they start helping other guys and girls, and then they start helping, and it's so on and so on and so on.
That ripple.
That's what helps me. That's what helps me as an alcoholic and addict is helping other guys and watching them get good and better themselves to the point where they're so good now that they're now able to sacrifice themselves and go help more people. Mm-hmm. That's what helps me. So, but I have to be at the top of my game with everything and able to do that, you know, for sure. Physically, mentally, spiritually, financially, everything. You know, I want to be just the best husband and father that I can be to my girls, man, you know, and just the best vice president, the best partner, the best coach, the best mentor, the best brother, the best son, everything, man. You know, I want to be able to take care of my parents, you know, when they get older, you know, and I don't know, man. I just want to be the best man that I can be.
I love that, dude. That's why I love you, man.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. I think in all this time with JW, you don't take days off. You are consistent, and I've followed your leadership, man. And yeah, dude, I love that about you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, bro. It's been a pleasure having you, bro. Like, we freaking love you.
Oh,
you know, you fit right. Like, everyone loves Jake. Give me a break. Like we freaking love you, dude. And I give Jake for like the listeners, like, I'm so hard on Jake. Like, I give Jake so much shit, and like second, like, you know, but because he can handle it, you know, and like he knows that it's tough love. And at the end of the day, bro, like, it's checks and balances here. Like, if someone needs to get checked, like me, guess what? I get that. If someone else needs to get checked, they get that. But we all understand that we're a family. We're all brothers. We're a pack, you know, and iron sharpens iron.
Fucking
you know, I have never seen so much growth than what I've had since surrounding myself with you guys ever in my entire life.
Same for myself. Yeah.
You know, I had tremendous growth by myself in the dark after I got sober. And I looked at myself in the mirror that one night and I said, that's fucking it. I'm waking up at 3 a.m. tomorrow. Day one tomorrow. We're doing this. I'm going to battle with myself. And I did that for like almost a year straight, bro. And I filmed my whole transformation on my story, you know, on my Instagram. I didn't post a whole lot. I just did the 24-hour story thing. And so that everyone saw my transformation. And so when that day came where I finally offered a program, dude, I just got flooded, and it took off.
It was probably no surprise, right?
There was no surprise, you know. But I had growth, a lot of growth back then, but nothing like the growth that I've had since joining JWFIT, you know.
Together we go further. Listen, man, this was awesome. Tonight was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
This
That
was
a lot of
great.
fun. A lot of
That was
fun.
a good one.
And yeah, you guys definitely make sure that you go follow all of us, Dane Poole, Poole Fit on Instagram, and
Poole_fit at Poole_fit.
there we go.
Yeah, that was fun, man. This is gonna be great.
Hell yeah. Adios.
All right, guys, that wraps up an episode of the Wolves Only podcast powered by JWFIT. Listen, if you guys like what you heard, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like and comment, help us get our message out there. If you want to work with our team, go ahead and click the link in the description below. Schedule a call with us. We'd love to get you on. We really appreciate you guys listening. And if you have any other questions, you can reach out to us on all forms of social media. Thank you so much.